because last time I didn't even record, and I don't know what that was about. But I did the Bfm Aggressor campaign for the second time with the VR, and I've been getting better, so my results were better. Also did a longer sit rep, and I noted better results. Then I also figured out I could customize my loadout. So I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out. I got my phone. Phone. But we're gonna look at that. Oh, okay. That's no biggie. This week's theme is gonna be buying things that don't work. Bluetooth earbuds that almost break themselves when you put them in the charging dock and try and take them out. Freaking. This, whatever it is, it's a decent little phone stand kind of thing, but you have to really press on it to kind of get it to work. And other things, I'm sure I'll find out what they are, the things that don't work. Let's unpack this.
Uzi 1-1, Uzi 2-1, radio check.
I'm going to see if I can change that really quickly, because I don't want the audio, main audio output to audio headphones. No. What? Let me try that, see what happens. Oh, that hurt. Yep. It definitely worked. All the comms would be there. You're like in helmet, is that enabled? You're like in helmet, it is enabled, no wonder. I'll switch it back afterwards.
I read you, Lima Charlie.
Oh man. It's not. I can't get all the audio onto here. So what I don't want is for it to randomly start throwing audio into my headphones. So I'm going to go ahead and just but then it worked. Don't know what that was about. Oh. I'm going to attempt to take a look at this stuff and see that it's actually recording. It is recording. Yes. Yes. Awesome. This first fight pretty much went like most of my fights. The first time I tried to record this, I remember making the comment that I need to work on energy management with the F-18, because it just seems like as soon as I turn up and go vertical, or as soon as I pull up and go vertical, like that is, I lose all energy, all of it. It's like boom, 1, 2, 3, energy's gone. Yep. You want to turn, you whatever, you want to do all that. Oh, congratulations! You have just enough energy to roll your aircraft, and that's it. Prepare to spiral downward with enemy as they fall on top of you and begin the spiral downward barber pole. But this one went like a typical fight. But you'll get the play-by-play. Move the mic a little. Yeah, it's like probably like 10 miles out. No, not 10, more like 5. Is it like 5 miles out? Like, no, it's like, yeah, that not having a dot. Yep, that's what it's going to look like now. Before there was a dot on it, but since it replays the scenario, not replays, recalculates, it updates the settings every time you do it. So for this time, this is going to preview to me what it's going to be like not to use the dot or anything. Which the only reason I would use the dot, like I am now, is because I can't see that well inside of the actual headset. The resolution of this headset versus the resolution of my display, what you see, it's like this is 1080p, 60 frames a second. Well, the resolution of my headset is more like 720p. It's more like, or at least, or it feels like 720p. Like you just can't see that crisp, that clear. And it's like if I look at one spot for a while, like I'll start to get like higher frames. But if I start looking around and all that, I lose frames like crazy. This is cool though to watch the fight with better graphics or with better display, because I can see clearly where I make my mistakes and what things will look like. It's going to be insane trying to find this guy all on my own, just so I can see how small the dot is right now. Which means it'll be a bigger dot with the display actually over me. But like just seeing how small he is, that's going to be tough. Trying to track him, losing him in the horizon. That's how quickly he came around at me. Because when I nosed down, I wasn't able to get anywhere near the speed that I needed to where I felt confident that I could actually fight over this guy. You see that? He dipped down so low. He gained speed and then he just came straight back up, like almost completely vertical. Whereas I'm trying to do a barber pole maneuver around him when he's fighting this vertical thing. He does this because the AI does this with every aircraft, no matter what it is. I bet if I fought an F-18, that's exactly how it would fight. It would just go up and down and up and down and up and down. And I proposed the theory that it's because I'm in an F-18 and they know what the F-18 is good at, and so in order to make things difficult for you, they're going to put you up against the vertical fight strategy. And at the side-to-side, slow knife fight, you just have this guy, he's dipping the nose down, he's going to come up right around me, go up, straight up on the other side of me. And the only reason he's got that is because he's on my other side is because I decided to cross him so they couldn't come run up at me. And now he's going to fall back down right over me. I imagine that it's a very difficult I imagine it's a very difficult shot. Against an opponent who will fight laterally. essentially what you got whenever I fight the AI is this. Boom, and then this. He goes down, I go up into the side. He comes back up. I go over to the side some more. He goes down. Now I'm up again, but I'm at the other side. And it just switches like that. He does that, and I go to the side. And if I'm able to get him to run out of energy, we both end up spiraling back down barber pole back toward the deck. And ultimately, I end up getting him with the maneuver kill. That happens every single time. Every single time. I go, at least every single time I go up against the F5 and maybe the MiG-29 if I don't kill it like outright at the merge, like going over the top of them. And or going over being aggressive and going hard nose down and following him up there, then that's what it turned into. The big giant spiral down to the deck, and then he does the vertical thing while I'm doing the lateral thing. Yeah, I said I want to climb back up there, get my altitude again. Start this one nice and high. This one I decided to examine the strategy more, the vertical fight, like how to beat it, like decisively with a kill. It zooms me in a whole lot whenever I'm not in the VR. I'm surprised it doesn't just zoom me back out and give me the actual depth perception and me moving around in 3D space. I guess it just doesn't do that. That's probably why it just zooms me in. Forget the how far in I'm probably zoomed. When I lean in, or where they think the head should be, and then it just has me pivoting around. But I don't think it ever has me actually sit back away from the screen, which I might try that more often just to see if it actually does. Well, actually it should, because every time that I look over my shoulder, I go up and I twist, but then I also lean back as well. So if I look over my shoulder, when I come back, I should be still pretty far away from the consoles. Boom. Alright. Here begins my test. I say screw going vertical. I'm going to turn laterally and just try and come up right underneath them and follow them up like I do against the Sukhoi 30 and the MiG-29 sometimes. And it's almost good, but look how fast he comes around. That's just the F-16's specialty, really. I didn't even have time to do that. You hear me slamming the controls. Throwing that throttle forward and rolling that aircraft really quick. As you're going over the top, I'm trying to oppose this motion and not follow him up, but make sure that if he decides to go down, that he can't easily correct and end up right behind me. Now that I see he's going down, he doesn't have a good angle. I'm trying to fall on top of him. He's doing the same thing to me. So I abandon that strategy and I just go to the side again, dipping my nose to help keep my airspeed up. Doing the same thing. It's like an infinite cycle. The same thing. And it's all they're doing. I don't think the F-16 usually, when I see people use F-16, I don't usually see them fight like that. Like they just go up and down and up and down and up and down. Here I'm turning around on him, saying, trying to be aggressive and cut across the circle. And I thought for a second he was trying to do a one circle fight with me. Just for a second when he did that, but then he just continues to go around the circle. Now he's nosing down again. He's gonna cut around on me because he feels like he's in a good spot. And try and come up right behind me. And it almost works. It almost works. But then I just do the same thing that he just did. Turn hard, and then I try to cut across the circle just the same way he did. Or no, it looks like I'm just nosing down to gain speed. He's pulling hard. He's got really good speed. Try to reverse into a roll around him, turn it into a one circle fight. He goes up, great counter because I don't have enough energy to follow him up there. You see me checking my speed at about 180 knots. I don't have enough to climb up there with him. So I go up just a little bit and then I move to the side like usual as he's coming down. Boop, point my nose at him. I'm falling now, but I'm on the opposite flank. So now if I were him, I would wait up there and then just dive down whenever I see an opportunity and try and fall on you for a good shot. I'm thinking that he's going to do this. So I turn back in so that if he comes up behind me, it should be a really difficult shot for him. Turn it into a one circle. We ran out of time. And that's what I mean. Every single fight that I fight goes like this. He does the vertical thing, the F-18, it does sideways, it doesn't do vertical. I can't get my energy back because I keep doing the vertical thing, which keeps giving him opportunities to follow me if I continue to try and nose down. Yeah, it's like if I nose down and try to go for energy, even in a turn, and commit, he's already up there. All he does is, he's going left. He's trying to get energy and dive down, and now I can't stay committed to that. Because by the time that I've got good energy, and I'm able to continue to raid around, by the time I've done that, he's already yanked up speed, he's already closing on me really well, he's got good closure, and he's basically in a good spot for a kill shot. Which means that when he dives, I gotta reverse direction, or I have to keep him from being able to just go straight down on me. Make him lose a little energy, but in the process, I lose energy as well. It keeps me doing this everywhere I go, just going side to side. It's annoying. I wish I could fight a different fight. This fight was a lot better than usual. Usually with this one, I have a harder time than I had with the F-16 because this aircraft can push a lot harder. So it'll come up on me a lot quicker. But I was way more aggressive. Because I knew it was going to be harder, and I knew that I wasn't going to have very many opportunities to even look at the guy. I figured out where he was. The problem I was also having with the dot was just straight up not being able to tell how far away someone was from me with it, because the dot doesn't change the size or color. Stays the same color, stays the same size. Yep. I think I went into that around 500 knots. So he's trying to nose down so he can get away from me. I said, no, I'm going to use that God's G going over the top. And then I'm going to use that high AOA performance, try and put my nose on him and keep him turning. And it's just too little too late. And that's not usually a kill I get. Like, I'm almost perpendicular to his aircraft. That's not a kill I usually get. And they were going to let him run smoke all the way up until the point that he did explode. They were just going to let him basically fly. He could have ran the rest of the period out, so I went ahead and finished him out. I went ahead and finished him off. Yeah, that sniping like that, it's not something I usually do. And I'm orienting toward that tanker. I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead and get some gas, and I'm probably just about out. I'm thinking I'm bingo, like 2,000 pounds of fuel is what I'm thinking I'm at. But I think I was closer to around 4,000, so I was still decent. I just went ahead. And reoriented to the airport. Just looking up to the right, reading the chat. To partial success. That's the first time I'd ever seen that. I was just like, really? Partial success? Okay. I guess if your mission is to defeat every single opponent and not, to fight or eliminate your opponent, but also to survive the encounter, I would consider it a success if they took down friggin' 1 out of 3 and actually managed to not die and come back. I guess it's a success. Unless it was in order to do something very specific. Like if those specific 3 aircraft had to go down, like, oh, they're making a bombing run. But if it's just like, hey, get in, provide support, get out. I don't know. Because they had to bounce as well. To me, that's like deterring them from being in your area of operation. It's like forcing them off the battlefield. It's neutralizing them. It's just not destroying them. Like I said, I would consider it a success from that standpoint. But from the standpoint of destroy the enemy, nah. I guess that would be a failure, actually. I guess I should be a little bit more grateful. And they gave me a partial success and then just say you failed. Yeah, if it was like destroy these 3 aircraft, then it's like, yeah, that's a failure. $10. I mean, you weren't doing anything, were you? Still got 10,000 pounds of fuel. Yep. Get those tanks off. Get that tank off me. Natif. Uh, like, is that the Nellis Air Force or Air Task Force base? Air Training Base? Air Training Force? I don't know. Is that Nellis? Because I just assumed Nellis. I was like, I want to land at Nellis. Is what I said to myself. I was like, let's go to Nellis. Which sounds cool as hell. Getting to see somebody actually pull up there with me. Another feature about the replay that I don't like is it actually manipulates your cursor and moves your cursor around like your actual mouse cursor. Thought that was cool as hell. That's crazy. And you can hear him too. That's not sure if I noticed that much because these headphones have better audio quality than the ones over my actual headset. And that's probably got more to do with the fact that these actually cut my ear as opposed to the headset ones, which are just like tiny little speakers that just kind of sit on the inside of your ear. They don't even really stay, they just kind of sit there. And you can move the headset, they move too. Like they're not attached to your ear in any way, they don't really hold. Feeling on my shoulder because I guess I got some sort of, I don't think it was sunburn because my skin didn't really start to hurt until I started getting smashed up by the surf and dragged across the sand underneath. You know, I don't feel like it's sunburn, but I'm peeling as if, I had sunburn. It kind of sucks, but it's not really sucks. It just feels weird. And it's like it's only happening with my shoulders. It's not happening with my arms or my chest or anything else. It's just my shoulders, which makes me think it has more to do with the fact that I was dragged across that sand. Yeah, I'm looking back there like, bro, where are you? What are you doing? Where are you going? He kept going back into the trail, into the trailing position. He kept going back there for some reason, and then he would come back up on an echelon right every now and again. There he is again, getting back into position. Trying to work on judging distance with the aircraft, like where I can see, like judging the distance, which will probably help with just continued exploits inside the VR cockpit. I can tell which parts are going to peel though, because they're like leathery in texture. The skin like almost feels like leather in certain areas. Like I had a callus there. Those are those parts that are gonna just freaking peel. There's like a nice normal, I guess what my normal skin tone is when I hadn't been in the sun. But I got a nice deep brown tan everywhere else, which is what's annoying about it. Now, I shouldn't have thought this was as impressive as it really was as we started to come up on Nellis, but like I was still very impressed by the AI's ability to like follow me in the formation. I thought that was some really cool like air show type stuff. Not just follow me going straight, like I'm gonna start taking turns and he's just gonna stay on that echelon right. Like it was really crazy. Like I would think that if I'm gonna take a right turn, if I'm gonna take a right turn or a left turn, I would think he'd be here. Then I would turn, and we'd both just we do a fan is what I would think. We just do a fan movement, boom, and then when we end up back side by side, end up with him back in the echelon right, But he like went underneath me like some air show type stuff and totally surprised me. And he went back into the trail for some reason, and I think that's more because I slowed down. But I don't know why he would go into the trail if I started to slow down instead of just slowing down with me. And I'm wondering if whenever people change airspeeds and stuff like that, if the flight lead just tells people, hey, rerouting, changing azimuth to this, that, adjusting airspeed to this airspeed, to 350 knots, Like we're headed 120. I wonder if I just give them a correction like, hey, taking up 135 at, at 350 knots, at 350 knots, like, and they go, Roger, 150, 150, 350 knots, like, and then you make the adjustment, and they give like a time now or something like that, like a command of execution. It just seems like something you would do, as opposed to every time you move, someone goes into the trail, and now they gotta come back into position. I just seems like that would get very hectic when you get more than just one plane or one jet. And my big giant 3 hour sit rep thing that I did, where I did like 2 or 3 missions. Yeah, the missions are a lot longer. I take a lot longer with the missions than I do with like your typical. Let me do 3 or 4, BFM setups. I did a little BVR, and I was just like, wow, this is a lot cooler. Yeah, see, when he did that, I did not expect that. From the roll underneath me like that, like that's some real air show type stuff. It's like some stuff I saw a mover trying to do in his DCS video. Because I bet he could have rolled all the way with me. And here I'm going to turn over because I'm trying to do the overhead brake. I should have slowed down more, but I guess I was just dazzled by the AI. I forgot. So I threw up my air brake and took my turn decently hard. I was almost spot on at 250 knots, or 250 knots. Yeah, and he dropped gear too. Thought this was cool as hell. He was right there with me. He was gonna do a formation landing with me. And then I guess he bailed. Maybe the airstream was too bumpy. Some wake turbulence, like that freaked me out. Yeah, that freaked me out when he did that. Yeah, he went all the way out there. They don't do overhead brake landings. The AI, they always do straight in. I'm noticing that. Trying to figure out if I was too high on this approach or not. I think I was. Yeah, I was fighting the trim. I have a way harder time this time around for some reason than I usually do landing. And my landings, maybe because I've been away from the simulator for a while, it's starting to roughen up a little bit more than I'm used to or would like. It looks like I still put it down on the runway. This might be the one where I said I was going to do a touch and go, but then I realized how far I was floating down the runway, and I was just like, nah, yeah, this is the one. I saw how far I was from like even touching. It was just like, nah, I'm going to go ahead and yeah, and just go ahead and take it back into the sky. As I get further and further away, you can see me fighting with it. I'm starting to level off. That's what I'm trying to do, to go for a level turn. Preserve my altitude as much as I can, since I'm not turning to lower my speed at this point. Did a decent job. Straighten out. Gained a little bit of altitude. Just flattening back out. No, that's a pretty level turn. Lost some altitude there. I must be fighting with the controls again with the trim. Probably lost a good couple hundred feet, few hundred feet. Leveled out again, losing altitude. Now, because I'm turning in, I don't care that I'm about to lose my altitude. Before going into the turn, I straighten out for a bit. I think at that point I was at like 800 feet. No? 2,000? No, that was my last run where it was like 800 feet, and I was like, oh yeah, go ahead and turn in. I'm 1,000 feet. Turn in. Hope I don't fall, crash to my death. Have a building scrape myself against a building. Nah, I did pretty good holding altitude whenever I did have just 1,000 feet to work with. And that was because it was at night, and I just wasn't trying to do a whole lot of judging the depth. I was just like, let me just come in really low and then put it down on the deck, or put it down on the runway, like nice and easy. That's the part I need to work on with my landings. Is that final approach, like actually lining up very well. I didn't do too bad here, it looks like. Yeah, kind of flat. AOA is not quite right. But then again, I realized I didn't have much space and didn't want to do another go around. At this point, I'm working throttle control, trying to place the flight path indicator where I want to land, and just hold it stable. Now I'm bringing it into that exact little hard exact spot. Trying to use the up stick to get better deflection, but I don't think I was able to pull the stick straight back, so I think it was like really sensitive and giving me left and right deflection, which is probably throwing off my braking. Because I would try and brake and it would feel like I was about to lose control. Landings not as short as the Hornet ones, or not as short as the Viper ones. But the speed wasn't outrageous, so. He's circling out here. He's getting ready to come in for his approach. Now that I've landed. Yep, dives in. Now he's coming in. Not bad. Not bad. Definitely enjoyed that go around of the Aggressor campaign. So my last one was really messy and I just didn't do well at all. Miss that theme. That's how you can tell I've been away from it for a while. I miss that theme. Yeah. But right. Alright. Yeah, right before the kick in, that's right. I did it. Right before the kick. Take that.